What's up, guys? It's Mike, tapping in for StrongSide episode 10. We feel legitimate now. Everyone is interviewing with the Cowboys for the DC job. Did you get it?
Did you not get one? Oh, that's awkward.
No, they didn't invite me for an interview for the DC job. I'll just have to get over that. I don't know. We getting surgery? We not getting surgery? Is AD going to get traded? I don't know. Let's call Rich Paul maybe live on the show. See how that goes. The Rangers seem to be cheaping out on us. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have possibly seen that coming? We're also going to sign George Pickens live on the show. So I hope you have your money bags and your money in escrow so we can do that. Fantastic conversation with David Castillo. Everything stars front to back. Put him on the hot seat. It's going to be awesome. Please stick around. I got to go check my other Gmail, I guess, since
It's still not there.
okay.
Welcome back to StrongSide, the show. I'm Mike Palucci. He's Mike Marshall. We are here once again at the beautiful Haymaker Studios in Frisco. Give them a follow. Give them a like. Give us a follow. Mike Likes Sports, Machine Sports.
Yep.
Most importantly, subscribe to D Magazine. That's how we get to keep these things.
Number one priority. Go subscribe right now.
That's why we get to keep making this stuff. It's why we keep doing good writing online, all that jazz. We got some hockey talk for you today. David Castillo, the OG Stars writer at StrongSide, is going to be here with us. It's going to be a blast. We got some football to get to. We got some hoops. We got some baseball. Machine, what are we starting off with?
Let's start out with the Cowboys in their search for a defensive coordinator, conducting what seems to be like 6 interviews a day, just rifling through them.
I'll take some urgency.
Here's the list thus far. That could change by the time you're watching this. It seems like they're doing virtual, which makes me a little.
That's what we do after the pandemic. Remote interviews.
I guess I hate virtual interviews. Jim Leonhard, no surprise, Broncos defensive pass game coordinator. Daronte Jones, Vikings, same position. Ephraim Banda, the Browns safeties coach, has interviewed. Aaron Whitecotton, internal interview, D-line coach, that's what he served as last season for the Cowboys. Jonathan Gannon, probably know who Jonathan Gannon is, Cardinals head coach that just got let go, formerly of the Eagles whenever they made a Super Bowl run. Christian Parker's the new one that was added today. Eagles defensive back coach. Last, but of course not least, one of the greatest
your guy
to ever wear the mean green, Zach Orr of DeSoto, stand up. He also got an interview, former Ravens defensive coordinator. Pretty fun list.
Very
How
fun
are we
list.
feeling?
Encouraged, which is not a thing that we hear for Cowboys coaching searches, that you're encouraged but again, and we talked about this last week. I think David Moore put it very well in written form on the site today, Wednesday at D Magazine. Go check that out. His position was, we could talk about George Pickens, and we're going to talk about George Pickens in this episode. You could talk about the 2 top 20 picks for the defense. There's a lot of offseason that's going to happen. But if you really want to get just the vibe of how this is going to go, big picture, this coordinator hire and how they go about hiring it is going to tell us everything, right? If you sit here as we have and say, you got to try something different, you have to go about this with more urgency. You have to be adults and not just play only in the draft sandbox, or not just hire only dudes we know, but really push all your advantages while Dak Prescott still has prime years left. This has to be a real search. This has to go fast. This has to go with a bunch of people that you don't know. All right, this isn't an old boys club thing. This is bringing smart minds outside the organization. They fired Eberflus very quickly. They are making a lot of calls very fast. There's one guy internally, and I think that's very fair because you got to give someone in the building a chance, right? That's just good practice.
And it's also there are relationships in this business, you
Right.
know, that's the thing you learn most working internally is something might happen and it might not make a lot of sense to you. You can also be scratching an agent's back. I don't know who Aaron Whitecotton's agent is or who his management is, but giving him a DC search, throwing him into a DC search raises his profile,
right.
Shows other teams that he could potentially be this.
It's good practice as an organization to tell your coaches, we will help your career here.
Absolutely.
You don't just work for us. I think we can go on a limb and say he's not going to be the next defensive coordinator. Too many guys with too many resumes from far outside this building, right? Somebody else is a name, you did your tier list last week. There's some names on there. There's some names not on there. But every one of them you could look at and say, there's a reason why he's in this room.
Yeah.
There's optimism here. There are fresh ideas here. They are doing this. The best compliment I could pay them, given the last 10 years, is they are doing this like an NFL organization should.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of stuff on the football side that typically isn't how other organizations do or should do things. They are doing this like you should do it.
Yep.
So we could talk about the hire and we will whenever it is, but at this point, it's hard for me not to feel encouraged because they have a process.
Yep.
And the defining story of most of the last 30 years of Cowboys football is there isn't a process. Well, there's a process now, and that's the first step towards real results that are sustainable and good.
This is going to sound like I'm overstating this, but whenever you have a search like this, you can bring this many dudes in from very talented places that have great minds in football, and you can say, crowdsource this information. You can say, okay, look at this defense. Tell me what you would do.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what your team was targeting. Tell me how you would adjust or what you would add to this kind of team. And those are fair questions that you can ask during an interview. You can ask Jim Leonhard that and not necessarily have any interest in hiring him, right? And then you glean all these insights about your team, about how their teams approach playing you defensively, and they're probably going to learn a lot. They probably learned more the last week about their team than they did since week 4 of the regular season, to be honest. Zach Orr is still my number one guy. I think that'd be such a cool story. I mean, he was such a great player when he played at North Texas, and then his brief stint in the NFL before he literally fractured his neck. Rose to DC with the Baltimore Ravens, and they had one of the best units. He's only been in DC about 2 or 3 years, but was linebacker coach for a long time there.
Yep.
He's phenomenal, dude. He's just a great person. I love Zach Orr, up and down, man. Jim Leonhard, they're probably tied. And I've heard rumors, and you can Google online or whatever you do. Grok, who the Cowboys going to hire as DC, and you can find reports that Jim Leonhard is the guy that they're zeroing in on. I think I'm fine with either. I'm actually fine with most of these guys.
I was going to say, you could sell me on most of these dudes. You want to tell me Jonathan Gannon's the guy? Great, cool. I'm down for Jonathan Gannon. Again, we talked about it last week. Just about anybody is better than what they had.
Yeah. And obviously, you can look at the history and say they've never hired a first-time defensive coordinator since 2006 or 7 or whatever. Ryan Stewart, right? Yeah. Daronte Jones. You might talk to him. He might be the smartest guy that's ever existed about defensive pass game coordination. And you're like, whoa, that's fine. I can't buy the Aaron Whitecotton thing.
No.
Everybody else in this list is fine. I think the thing to remember, if you are going to bring in a Jim Leonhard, if you are going to bring in a Zach Orr, you had to give them the tools to run a defense like they just ran. You have to give Jim Leonhard a Nick Benito, a Jade Barron, a PS2, Patrick Surtain Jr., right? If Zach Orr comes in here, who's this Kyle Hamilton, right? Because he's used to having that kind of player, and that's what made him great. Players make coordinators and coaches in the NFL more than coaches make players.
Right. It comes down to, ultimately, if you want to zoom out even more, it comes down to Jerry Jones listening to other people. And this not being Jerry's thing, but Jerry being the guy who shops for the ingredients at the grocery store that the list is given to them from the coordinators. Mm-hmm. He says, I want this, this, and this. And Jerry puts his ego aside and says, that's what you want. I hired you to do. That's what we're going to do. I don't know.
That'd probably be my first question. Honestly, if I'm Jim Leonhard and I'm going to be in this room or a room like this for either right now I'm either going to get a DC job or in the near future I am. Maybe next year we do this again. I'm a head coach.
Yeah.
My first question is probably putting them on their heels and going, what are you doing with the 12th pick? What are you doing with the 20th pick? Are you going to create cap space where I can go add another player? Because you know what? That's how far away you are.
Yeah.
You might not like it. That's how far away you are.
Right, and that's that's a short way of getting to why established smart minds on the come up have not been here, because the Joneses are not used to having the terms dictated to them. Why was Matt Eberflus here? Because Matt Eberflus couldn't tell him otherwise. Why is Broughton Schottenheimer here? He's earned some leverage. David wrote about that today. It's worth reading. But this time last year, you know what? Broughton Schottenheimer didn't say, no thanks, Matt Eberflus, whether or not he wanted to or not, because he couldn't.
Yep.
Broughton Schottenheimer got handed the life raft and the job he would never, ever, 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 ever get anywhere else, because he didn't have a real coaching interview in more than a decade. So when you get that job and Jerry Jones says, guess what, man? Your DC's Matt Eberflus. Broughton Schottenheimer saying, cool, man. Love it.
Yep.
So excited. But now that Schottenheimer's earned some leverage and he's having a say in who some of these guys are, right? Clayton Adams isn't here without Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer helped put that name out there. Mm-hmm. Coaches haven't been coming here before because it's like, well, why would I? They're not going to listen to me. Well, if you want to come here now, they better listen. And the first step towards that is, if you're interviewing this many people, first step is trying. The second step is if they keep coming in, they're probably all talking, or you're hearing back channels through agents, and you're hearing like, oh, maybe Jerry's going to listen this time. Yep. Maybe I will take that interview. Yep. Maybe I'll give this my time. Yep. So we'll see. It's early days. I don't know how long this is going to take. And certainly however long it takes to hire him, take even longer to get to free agency and see what they're going to do to help them. Mm-hmm. But all we can go off of is what they're doing so far. And they're doing a lot more, and they're trying in smart ways more than they have in a long time. And that's good. That's exciting. Yeah. And Jeff Holbrook, they denied the interview request from the Cowboys on that, right? So he's not in the pool. And then Brian Flores, I think he's going to exhaust every opportunity as a head coach. So if you want to wait around, I mean, that's a dangerous game. Very dangerous game. Going with the anybody's better than Eberflus move, I would not. Yeah, I would not wait around to confirm that Brian Flores does not get a head coach job, right? Yeah. So I'm moving forward as if this is the pool of guys, candidates, best candidates you could find. Jim Leonhard or Zach Orr, I think that is an A++ for me. Yeah, and I think there are a lot of A-level grades of an A or an A- with a lot of other names on the list. Like it's boding well so far. Yeah, let's talk about a team that's not going to get an A++ for whatever trade comes their way. We got the email that Anthony Davis tore ligaments in his hand and is seeking multiple opinions. You know what multiple opinions is code for? The first opinion says you should not play basketball again this year. I didn't like it. I didn't like the first one. I didn't like that one. So then, at least we understood that. But then yesterday, as in Tuesday, because we're filming this on Wednesday, on Tuesday, we get to this very bizarre series of events where the news comes down, courtesy of Mark Stein over at DLS. He's getting surgery, multiple months done for the year. Okay, this sucks. We knew it was coming. But wait, friends, Anthony Davis is up on the internet being like, don't trust all you hear. He said it in a much meaner way than that. But yeah. Don't trust all you hear. Those lies you read on those apps, which is the same thing I say to the Uber Eats app whenever it adds 10+ minutes again. Yeah. Don't trust all these lies you read on these apps. What do you mean third stop away? Don't give me that. Then we get 80 saying don't trust these lies of the apps. And then Shams Charania, a man who definitely does not know people at Clutch, the agency, definitely does not get information from them, and definitely is not broadcast to you in repackaged ways, says that actually he might be able to play in March. And then the Mavericks are re-engaging teams on Anthony Davis about trade talks, because if he's out for the season, nobody's trading for this, right? But he might play, and then he's gonna maybe possibly get traded. And then we get the official email from the Mavericks reversing course saying he's not getting surgery and he can be back in 6 weeks. Kind of feels like the surgery was maybe an optional thing. Like I could shut it down. This is not going to do any more damage. I don't know. Where are you at with this? Where are you at with these shenanigans? There's rumors of Rich Paul bullying the Mavs at this point to try and move AD. And the Mavs basically saying, like, we're not going to be bullied. Like, we're not just going to, like, do a deal to do a deal, which, I don't know. I guess you got to say that. I don't know what else they're going to say. They're not going to say, like, yes, sir, Rich Paul, whatever you want. That's not the conversation that's going to happen, even though the reality is probably closer to that. So the Rich Paul thing is so confusing and toxic and not good for, I think, anybody in this situation to be having to deal with. It's not just this vacuum of trying to get the best value I can for this player that I've deemed and marked as movable and must be moved to literally progress our organization forward. Yeah. And I think the thing that looking at the potential trades, and everyone's done some really good, reporting, and you can look at the numbers and make the numbers add up, and it's not that hard. Like in the NBA, there's big numbers at the top, little lower numbers at the bottom of the cap sheet. Not a lot of people make the middle numbers. No, you got to find another big number to make sense, right? Yeah. So you're talking like Porzingis as the core of that deal, or Brandon Ingram, the core of a Raptors deal. Someone's got to take up that chunk of money. He's been too good, though. That's the thing. Probably. I think they have nuked their value. So, like, we talked about this last week. I did my whole little spiel about, like, whatever you thought the value was going to be, reduced it by 45%. Well, now you're dropping even further. Yep. There's been talk about it the last 24 hours that it's just a salary dump now, which is insane. But I think you got to give up on trying to be made right by getting off this.
And what I think you have to look at this for is whatever I'm trading AD for at this point, I'm not anticipating a good draft pick. I'm not anticipating necessarily a good player. What I'm trading AD for is a player that I will eventually trade because I'm going to recoup the value of this guy, whether it's a Shea. I mean, Ingram would be the pie in the sky of like, cool, man, let Brandon Ingram play here next to Cooper Flagg, and he goes the hell off.
Well, I think at this point, the stuff I've seen for Toronto is that it's probably more RJ Barrett, who
I would do that in a second.
I think if you can get RJ Barrett and some money. Now, the thing is, like, I think with RJ Barrett, you're taking Jakob Poeltl's deal.
Yeah.
And that deal sucks. And we talked about this last week. They don't want to take bad money, right?
Right.
What this comes down to, this ultimately is, this tug of war is about the fact that Anthony Davis wants another extension.
Mm-hmm.
Just about to turn 33. I think we all know he's not staying healthy. He wants one more big deal before it goes to the sunset. He's not getting it here.
No.
He knows, and his agency knows, he's got to play and play somewhere else and make somewhere else fall in love with him. Yep. You go to the Eastern Conference, you get a team, a couple playoff series wins, maybe even one in a competitive second-round loss. They say, okay, he just got here. Pay him, keep him around, add another piece or two. Where are we next year? Mm-hmm. They need that.
Yep.
So the Mavericks are sitting here saying, we're going to trade him when their leverage is best for us, but because we're not going to pay this guy. Well, guess what? We talked about this. Your leverage is only as good as him staying on the floor. He can't stay on the floor. It is in everybody's best interest this happens. So I don't know if they're getting bullied by Rich Paul so much as I think Rich Paul, it might be the voice of reason working for his client, to be clear.
Yep.
But Rich Paul basically is probably giving some version of, you guys can't get him off of your books fast enough because your cap situation is hell. You need his money off the books. Emotionally, this whole city, and Jake Kemp wrote a great piece about this, you're not really moving on from all the Luka stuff while he's here. That's not his fault. I feel bad for Anthony Davis, but that's the fact of the matter. Nobody's getting mentally past this. The first step is firing Nico. The second step is trading AD. Mm-hmm. And the third step is just continuing to retool around Cooper Flagg. You are step 2. So he's got to go. Mm-hmm. Getting bullied by Rich Paul really just means, look, you're not winning with this guy and you're stuck in 2 timelines. Get his money off, continue the rebuild, get more of the bad vibes out the door. Let me get my client paid somewhere else.
Yep.
And I don't know how we got this mixed messaging injury situation. If they just announced from the beginning he's going to be out 6 weeks.
Always a great sign.
Always a good sign.
It's always the absolute best.
The trains are for sure running on time.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to this ambiguity. I do feel like if this was just a straight, he's going to be out 6 weeks, but he doesn't need surgery. He'll be back mid-March, ready for a playoff run. If that's the messaging coming out, maybe they don't lose quite as much leverage. They probably don't.
Well, I had an astonishing moment last night where I don't think my wife realized that Anthony Davis was going to be traded. Mm-hmm. She saw something online and she goes, what's this? And I'm like, I just go, yeah, imagine walking off the court after getting 4-1 against the Celtics in the finals with Luka and Lively and that whole group, mm-hmm. and telling me that within, 18 months, I guess?
Less than that.
A year plus 6.
Right now it's about 14. No, it's
since the finals, not since the trade, right?
Oh, since the finals, it's a little under 2 years, so like 18 months, 20 months, something like that.
Imagine telling me that I would be, or my team would be on the phone with other GMs begging them to take Anthony Davis off of my books, who has missed more games than played as a Dallas Maverick, and that there's no hopes of the playoffs, and that the only thing positive moving forward at this exact moment is the idea of Kyrie Irving potentially playing this season.
If you had told me that exact set of facts, you didn't even mention the name Luka Doncic. You didn't even mention how we got here.
Nope.
You just told me that Anthony Davis is around, and it's going so badly you got a contract dump him, and you hope Kyrie's back for torn ACL. My first thought would be, whoa, Luka's probably pissed. But my second thought would be, no matter what Luka thinks, this sucks. Yeah. This is real bad. And this sort of circumstances came about because you traded Luka Doncic.
Yep.
It's fun here. I'm having so much fun.
It's awesome. Doing great, man. But the only thing you can do is move forward. And moving forward,
you have to move forward because the longer this lingers, read Jake's piece because I do think he's right. Like it just gets, the negativity just keeps washing over everybody every time this happens with him. And that's bigger. I've seen people in my mentions arguing about, well, what if he plays with Kyrie or who'll re-up his trade value?
Don't give a crap. Like
there are a large portion of people who would say exactly that. I don't care. I want to move on. And even if you aren't in that group, If you are in the smaller group that says, well, let's think about purely basketball ramifications, he has to stay on the floor for any of this to matter.
Yeah.
He cannot be dependent on to stay on the floor.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for everybody.
Yep.
But you can't trust anything. So get the money off the books. I mean, we've gone from last week, it was no bad money, one good player, one good pick. I'm down to money off the books, one thing that's kind of sort of useful.
Yep.
That's where I'm at. If you get that at this juncture, that's a win. And that's 15 cents on the dollar.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
Yeah,
it's bad.
It's not even an asset straight up for me. It's an asset that I could potentially rehab the value of now and eventually.
It's the Porzingis trade.
Yeah.
The outgoing, not the ingoing. It was when they broke Porzingis into God, why am I blank? This is how much my brain is.
Gafford, right?
No. It was Spencer Dinwiddie, and it was
Wizards.
Yeah, it was Dinwiddie, and it was Davis Bertans.
Davis, yeah.
The Davis thing didn't work out, but Dinwiddie, Dinwiddie helped them get to a conference finals, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Dinwiddie did some stuff for a year. It was weird, but it happened. But the whole idea was, and this is the Anthony Davis thing, except even better from a financial standpoint. The whole idea was, here's a bad contract. I don't want it. I'll break it into 2 more manageable contracts. I'll get myself out of this. And that is what happened, right? Yeah. So if nothing else, you move AD, your books are clean. When you fill with stuff that fills your timeline better, cool. Bad outcome, best outcome you could get.
Yeah.
Better outcome than what the Rangers are doing to you personally right now. I
feel like this is an attack.
Yeah, it really happened right after the show.
It.
Right after the show last week, you poured your heart out on this table, and then what happens?
Yeah, so I haven't been happy with the Texas Rangers. You might be able to tell from me saying so recently.
Very directly in very angry fashion.
My tweets and my broadcasting might have given a hint that I'm not really.
Yeah,
happy
he's
about,
tweeting the account.
What the Rangers
you're
are
getting
doing.
in at Rangers mentions.
Yeah,
all the time.
And obviously, there is the thing that's gonna make me drive my car into a ditch one day is teams that you spend less than us. They make the playoffs. Like what? It's like cool. Okay, yeah. That has happened. Yes, it has happened. Do you think you're the Brewers? Do you think you're the Brewers? Yeah. Okay, I don't think.
Do you have a 6'8" man who throws 102 coming out of the minors to fix your rotation? Because so, I'd love to meet that guy.
Yeah, I'd love to know him. But your roster isn't constructed like the Brewers.
No.
You have a bunch of 33-plus-year-old dudes making $30+ million a year. Why are these guys here? But the thing that Chris Young seems to want to be fighting me through the headlines is I think from a position player standpoint, we feel pretty good. I don't. I feel awful. This lineup sucks, man. This is trash. Like, the only thing you can bank on is hopefully Josh Young spins out of it. Hopefully Jock Peterson isn't
Jake
absolutely
Berger.
tanked. Jake Berger isn't just complete cheeks this season. Like
Evan Carter.
Like give me something besides hopium that the guys that crashed out last year aren't going to crash out again.
I can't.
Okay,
that's the problem. We could stop there, but you can sit here and you can talk about what you owe to your consumers. And I think when you go this cheap, ownership has decided they don't owe the consumer a whole lot. And that's unfortunate because consumers might just say, cool, man, I'm going to do something else in my summer and I'll be back for Cowboy season because I'm not watching this thing if you guys suck after July 4th, right? That's a choice you can make. That's a bad choice. That's not what owners of a top 5 media market team that won the World Series 2 years ago should be doing. But you can make that choice. What you shouldn't make this choice to for the long-term health of your organization is when you have Corey Seager, who in an injured year, it wasn't even at his best, posted a 6-win season, the quietest 6-win season in baseball because he's amazing. Mm-hmm. When you have Jacob deGrom, who threw 170-plus innings. You know, Jacob deGrom last year put together as many innings as just about the last 5 years combined. He did that every year. Every year it's, what if Jacob deGrom stays on the mound? Well, he did. And what are you doing? Nothing. That if there was one pitcher in the history of this organization you could throw up there for one start, it's probably Jacob deGrom. You have him. He's incredible. He came back from 2 elbow surgery, 2 Tommy Johns, right? And I wrote a whole piece because the science is on my side. I think the science is starting to change in baseball. We're learning this. But I wrote a whole piece about the very bleak recovery rate of 2 Tommy John surgery guys. Jacob deGrom comes back those best season of the last 5 years in terms of staying on the mound, looking great. You know who else did that first? Nathan Eovaldi. Mm-hmm. Nathan Eovaldi was incredible. Gave you the season of his life. Still really good. Not going to be that good this year. You could be 70% as good, and you're going to be a great number 2 starter. 35, 36 years old. Double reconstructed elbow. What are you doing for that guy? Playoff hero. What are you doing for him? Right now, it's nothing. It's nothing. Brandon Nimmo was a great trade, but it was at the expense of another player's money. And you got money to take that deal.
Yep.
So, and what have you done with it since? There's a lot of this could happen, this might happen. There should not be this could or this might when you have Corey Seager and Jacob deGrom. It just should not happen.
Yep.
This is not a poverty franchise. This is not the Rangers in bankruptcy. This is not the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's a top 5 team that won the World Series 2 years ago. And so it's
feels like the last gasp of like a dying regime somewhere. Like we're not gonna
Sure.
change. We're not gonna change the stuff on the walls. We're not gonna do anything. But we also can't spend more, which is the lifeblood to probably fix this thing. We're not super interested in fixing the thing.
That's it. It's not can't. It's won't.
It won't.
It won't.
You're
And
running
you can sit here,
a roadside motel, like I said last.
the roadside motel, and you could sit here and you could just miss me with all the talk about what your revenue losses have been, switching from the old Valley Sports Agreement to Ranger Sports. We're launching this and different payroll constraints. If you don't want to spend money, if you don't want to treat this like a fun little toy, don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of businesses, dude. You're in the oil game. Life's good. Don't own this team. Do something else with your money. It's a public good. I know that's not how it's treated. You could say that we are being naive, but that's how it should be. If you don't want to spend your money, do something else. So I don't care what your broadcast revenue situation is. If you don't want to lose money on this venture, because that's what this should be your fun little thing. If you don't want this to be your fun little thing, let it be somebody else's fun little thing. You can go make more money elsewhere, man.
If you're going to do it this way, this is a signal that you're going to ride it out until these big contracts are gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the end to this? If you're not willing to spend now,
it's either
then-
that or it's trade Corey Seager next year when it's one less year on the deal and less leverage and he's a year older.
yeah, that makes no sense,
no,
right?
No.
This just looks like riding these big deals into their expiration date.
The thing that I always go back to, I've gone back to this honest to God since before they won the World Series, because a lot of the process around they won the World Series was kind of it was half cocked, but it worked.
Yeah.
When they tore it down at the deadline in 2020, when did Gallo get traded? 21 or 22? It was 22. John Daniels was still the general manager. John Daniels said in no uncertain terms, because the plan at that point was to rebuild. People forget this because they went crazy spending that winter. That was a Seager-Simeon winter. But he said no half measures. It's a Breaking Bad speech, right? No half measures.
Yeah.
It's all been half measures since then. Every bit of it. And it worked. And that's great. I will take, for as much as we just talked about good process with the Cowboys, you give me half measures that work over full measures that don't any day of the week. I can sit here, we can be smart about, well, we'd plan it like this. Fuck that. They won the World Series. It worked. Who cares? Flags fly forever, etc. But now we are back to seeing it's all been half measures. Right now is the ultimate half measure. Oh, we might luck into the playoffs because we still have a top 10 hitter and a top 5 pitcher. Okay, but that doesn't mean you're doing it right. That doesn't mean you're conducting this how you should. That doesn't mean you're doing right by the city or doing right by your players who won you this thing nobody else has in 50 years. Doesn't mean you're doing your jobs. And I don't put this on the front office. It's very obvious the front office has constraints.
Yeah.
This is purely a choice from the people who signed the checks, and it is a bad choice, and you should make a different choice. And if you don't want to make different choices, let somebody else take this off your hands, like you took it off Tom Hicks's hands, and let them make the choices. Because for a while, you made the good choices. You treated this like it should be treated, and now it's not being treated that way. And I'd like to see something different, right? Chris Young did say they're not done on the pitching side. Maybe there's a signing, singular, of a number 3 starter. But this isn't moving the needle. This is, for better or for worse, this is mostly their team. And there's a lot of ways this could get better. But again, that isn't good process. Yep. If you get bailed out because you hit the exacta of Jock Peterson and Josh Young and Jake Berger and Evan Carter and 2 of these bullpen arms hitting, cool, man. That'll make for a great year. I want that. I want to have fun for this team. I don't want to feel like we are stuck paying attention for 6 months. But that doesn't mean this is really better. That doesn't mean you fixed anything.
Yep. Well, let's fix another team.
Yeah,
at least their cap sheet. What do you say?
I love it. All right, let's try to cheer ourselves up a little bit here. Let's use our brain power for something that might actually be useful, because the Cowboys are going to do things. The Rangers, not doing things. Cowboys, though, a lot of decisions to make this offseason, and we're not going to just not talk about this team for the next 8 months before the season starts. That'd be crazy. So we're going to do something called the Cowboys Contract Corner. for the next few months. Basically, they got a lot of guys they got to make decisions on.
Mm-hmm.
We should assess what those decisions are, what they mean. And I think a very obvious first place to start is George Pickens.
Yep.
I had fun watching George Pickens play football. I think you did too.
Yeah, very fun guy to watch.
Good time. Now they got to pay him.
Yeah.
And this team has been indifferent, apprehensive, lukewarm. Pick your middle of the road adjective to describe how they feel about paying their players.
I think they assume the franchise tag is something other than disrespect to a player.
Yeah.
And players see a franchise tag, and I don't think it sits very well with them.
No, it does not.
Across the board. So there seems to be a different linguistics happening between player agents and the team going, oh, if everything goes wrong, I can fall back and franchise tag you, and not knowing that that's going to set your relationship on fire with players. So I don't think that's a realistic opportunity for Pickens and the Cowboys.
Right. So let's assess this.
Let's have the George Pickens conversation.
Let's have the full conversation. It sounds great in theory to pay him and keep him around. There's gonna be some mechanics to go on. So I'm gonna let you run point here. You got a whole beautiful mind set up with a bunch of numbers going on.
Yeah, but before we get to the idea of let's get in there, let's put a number to it.
Yep.
Do you want George Pickens for what is perceived market value at this moment to be $30 to $35 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think we want to be strapped to that decision?
Right.
Are you comfortable doing? I'm going to have to show you some things we're going to have to do on the cap sheet to create this money. Because to be clear, Cowboys don't have that money right now.
No.
You're going to have to make some decisions.
Yes.
You have to solidify some other contracts into the future. So let's start there. Do you want Pickens at $30-something million a year?
Remind the good people, what is the overall cap? What percentage of the cap is $30 million a year?
30. I don't know what the 30 is on percentage wise, but I mean, it would be one of the biggest. It'd be a top 3 cap hit for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, do I feel great about that in a vacuum? No, because you have a top 5 receiver on your team already in CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. You have, I'm not going to play the George Pickens conduct game. I haven't been in the room with him. I think by and large, he was on the ball this year in terms of how he's handled himself. There's also stuff like you see the Vegas incident where you're like, interesting. I didn't see CeeDee Lamb get in that kind of situation before this when George Pickens is around. And what about that's about? Do you trust George Pickens on huge guarantee money for a long time? That is the question. But the flip side to that is, as we talked about, when you have a lot of defensive work to do, when you only have so many years of Dak Prescott's prime, and the goal is, how do we maximize having a real difference maker quarterback? And how do we make this work with the defense that, David Moore wrote about this for us today on the site about the defensive coordinator search. We talked about it before, but you can't fix this defense with just 2 top 20 picks. As good as those are, there's a lot of work to do. The realistic goal needs to be, how can we make this defense cromulent? If you know The Simpsons, you know the word.
Yeah.
A cromulent defense to where I can buy this being enough on a title contending team, because that title contending team has a monstrous offense. And George Pickens is a big part of that. We've seen what has happened before with insert your Fugazi number 2 receiver here next to CeeDee Lamb and a solid but not ceiling creating tight end in Jake Ferguson. You have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. That's the best passing attack in football. So I think given that, and look, I think it would be silly to say, they paid for Pickens, with a draft pick, they can't keep him now. No, you can get a comp pick. You can let him walk.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. But I think once you've gotten a taste of this, is it risky? Yeah, but again, this is part of the whole all-in thesis. If you're going to maximize Dak's years, you got to accept that this could blow up in your face, but you got to chase ceiling. So I think the long-winded answer is, I think you kind of have to pay him. That's where I'm at. I think you got to do it.
I'm asking the tough questions as if I don't already have a really solidified opinion
about
this. No, but
I know you know your opinion, but I think this is worth talking it out for everybody at home and walking through all of this.
I think you have to do this.
You have to do it.
I think you have to do it.
Yeah.
Just circumstance dictates everything you just said. If you're actually trying to maximize the final years of Dak Prescott, you have to do this. You have to extend George Pickens. Maybe you can get away. I mean, if he's a different guy, maybe you can, hey, George, how would you feel about franchise tag? And if he doesn't, if he stops replying to the text message at that point, you're like, okay, well, what do you think your market is? Let's talk, right?
Yeah.
Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? I'm just gonna settle at $30 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
One of the side effects that you're gonna have from paying CeeDee Lamb a $38.6 million cap hit next year, and then throwing that Pickens contract onto there, is you're gonna go into that room and they're gonna say, you're not improving the offense. There's no more dollars for your offense over here, right? And so you better be comfortable with Flanoy as your third, whoever's fourth, fifth, Jalen Tolbert down there.
Which I am if George Pickens is here. I'm completely fine with the status quo receiving core if you pay George Pickens.
I'm a big press your advantage guy.
Yeah.
You have an advantage wide receiver. What if you had two? How would that work? We saw that. We saw the proof, right? And whenever CD, if they're having a weird game or can't play, etc., George Pickens, he picks up that slack, right?
Right, and that's David Moore wrote about that too. It was the Detroit game when everybody's like, this is why you don't pay George Pickens. No, that's why you do pay George Pickens. You know why? Because CeeDee Lamb goes out hurt. Even when Pickens doesn't produce, he draws gravity, and Ryan Flanoy, who's a guy, a good guy, but a guy, racks up triple-digit receiving yards because you still have a gravitational point to account.
You're capable of scheming him open.
Exactly. And
if that's somebody else over there that's not nearly as dynamic as George Pickens,
then you're not hearing Ryan Flanoy's name.
That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And I think the creative way that they will go forward with this, these are set in stone for a while, right?
Yeah.
If you have Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
And even Jake Ferguson, his contract's pretty new. I think the way, if you go into the next offseason and you're saying my offense isn't exactly what I want it to be, and it might be as soon as like next month they make a decision like this of going, okay, I need some versatility, I need some dynamics in here, something other than a Dak 7-step drop, 15 yards of depth to a wide receiver. I think another tight end would make a lot of sense. Someone that can actually threaten in the intermediate. Jake Ferguson makes some cool plays. I know exactly what Jake Ferguson is.
Yeah, you know his back. And
he is run straight and run fast and run hard.
Yeah.
And that's about all he has. So if you can go into this free agency, and we'll do this maybe in another week, look at the tight ends that I would go, give me that guy for. And the market for tight end is about half of what the market for wide receiver is.
Yes.
Rando wide receivers will get $10 million.
Well, especially if you are going for the Isaiah Likely archetype, which is hey, man, you will not be a lead tight end ever because you can't block. Well, Jake Ferguson can block.
Yeah.
You can play tall personnel, let Jake block, and run this dude out there as your slot tight end guy, make him be a mismatch on a safety or especially a linebacker, and deal with him as a part-time schemed-up player, right? That is not going to cost you that much. And also, it's not going to cost you draft capital because if you've been following this team for a while, you know the history of we have the meat and potatoes tight end. What if we drafted someone that had a little spice next to him? I'm talking Gavin Escobar. I'm talking Luke Schoonmaker. It doesn't go well here. Some teams do it well.
God forbid we get anything out of Schoonmaker.
Yeah, I know, right?
God almighty, dude. But two of the guys that I've been, just to cap the tight end conversation, two of the guys I've been so impressed with this season that have made differences and are on teams that are going into the divisional round right now. They've been edges in every single game they've played in that I've watched. A.J. Barner, Colby Parkinson. Those guys are effing winning players.
Right.
When they are on the field, they dictate mismatches because of how much 12 and 13 their teams run. Without gigantic wide receiver firepower, Seattle specifically is a little bit more shallow than the Rams. The Rams would be built like us right now. Like that would be the mold.
And and Barner's a mid-round pick, and Barner's a blocker, and Colby Parkinson got a pretty good free agent deal in part because he can block. If you're just looking specifically at the guys who you can go that archetype, but if you want to go cheaper and just give me a move tight end, who I don't worry about the blocking, those are real cheap because you can only keep them on the field in sub packages essentially or get killed in the running game. Beauty of it for the Cowboys is you have a solid starting player in Jake Ferguson who does everything, including blocking at an acceptable or above average level.
Yeah, and not the top end tight ends, like I know Njoku's up there. That's kind of the same player too, right? Like that's very
a little
Jake
more
Ferguson
juice,
to me. A little more wiggle, but I want that underneath wiggle tight end. I think.
Yeah.
To get it,
we'll get there another week. Let's talk about George.
That's a side effect of how you're building your offense, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the meat and potatoes and look at the contract sheet.
Yep.
On Spot Track of what it'll actually take to get George Pickens on this team. So here's the fantastic, the one and only Spot Track.
Shout out those people.
Yeah, so you see over here, this number is probably the most important of all. Cowboys are currently $33 million over.
Is that bad?
That's pretty bad.
Okay.
But also, I don't know if people might realize this at this point in NFL fandom, the salary cap is not real. There are things called void years, which are just like absolute, just like dark arts. You can dump money into these void years for big contracts and things like that.
If you have a New Orleans Saints fan in your life, ask them about how it's gone with the salary cap. You know what the answer is going to be? Let me figure it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. We still roll.
We're chained to Alvin Kamara until he's 44 years old. It's fine. It works.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's your biggest contract, if it's Dak Prescott, like that's why there's 2 void years on Dak's contract, right? So you can stretch that out, flatten that cap hit. for a season and then go in there. And if we're going all in, I would anticipate down the road we're going to have to dip into those void years for Dak pretty soon. I'm going to try to not do that on this practice, right?
Okay.
So let's go over here. Here are your biggest cap hits right here, right? 74 for Dak, 38.6 for CD, Tyler Smith, Quinnen, Kenny Clark, Osa, Terrence Steele, Deron Bland. Those are your top 8. Don't think we can do anything with Deron Bland, and I think cutting him doesn't help you at all.
No, that just creates more problems in an area where you have a lot of problems.
You can, if you want to go over here and release Terrence Steele,
That's what we're
it reduces your cap hit in half.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, assign and apply post June 1 first release doesn't really change anything for you. It's still 18 over here, right?
Yeah.
But dead incurred, right, is 4. So you just want to straight up release Terrence Steele?
God, listen.
Or do you can try and trade.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm a good friend of the program. He'll be on the show at some point. Duke Manyweather, smartest offensive line guy out there, works with every single Cowboys lineman. I trust Duke's opinion on everything, and Duke's honest about his clients. And Duke, he'll cape for his guys, but he'll also tell you straight when it's not something. For instance, like we'll talk about this when he comes on the show. Tyler Smith, not a left tackle. Not a left tackle. He's a left guard. A damn good one, not a left tackle. He's always maintained a lot of the stuff with Terrence Steele's a little overblown. He's better than people think. But if you're trying to create some money, and Terrence Steele is, let's be kind and say, a little bit of an erratic player.
We don't have to. I'll make it clear. We don't have to release him.
Okay.
We don't have to. We can try and do some other stuff first if you want.
We can do some other stuff first, but that's the number of those top 8
it's earners. On the table.
I'm looking and saying, well, what can I do something with?
Yeah.
That's the one name that you can do something with, and it makes some sense.
Yeah. Okay. So the other number on here that kind of sticks out to me is the Kenny Clark cap hit. Not his contract. His contract's fine. It's whatever. 2 years, $41 million, whatever. Maybe a little bit overpay. The 21.5 cap hit. Most teams do enough wiggling. This must have been a weird deal for the Packers whenever they did it, where they couldn't smooth this or stretch it in any way or throw it into a bonus. So let's try this. Let's extend Kenny Clark. He's been pretty good here.
Yeah.
Roll with Osa, Quinnen, Kenny Clark moving forward, and we don't need to touch DT for the rest of our natural lives.
Can we just pause to appreciate that after a solid decade of the Cowboys being like, we don't need defensive tackles? three of the
top 8 cap hits.
3 of the top 6 cap hits are defensive tackles on defense. That's truly remarkable.
Yeah. Okay, so Kenny Clark, good player.
Yep.
Also 31. Probably doesn't want to get shown the door in 2028 or
work something out. Just moved, doesn't want to move again.
Let's put some years on there for Kenny Clark, right?
Throw him a little bone there. Okay.
So he's right now it's 2 for 41, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if I put 3 years, void years? Let's throw one in there just for fun.
Okay.
New value. Let's say, Kenny, we'll sign you up for 3 years, 48. So you're getting 16 a year with an extra year tacked on the end. I think Kenny Clark might do backflips if you offer that to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever getting close to that 20 a year again, right?
Not at 31.
The signing bonus, I don't know. This doesn't change a ton of it. Let's say 10 mil up front.
Okay.
You can change the base salary to 1.3.
The show is just an infomercial for Spot Rack.
It really is.
Just use that website. They're smart.
3.3 would be your new cap hit.
Okay.
Sign extension. Okay, we're moving a little bit.
We're getting there.
We saved $19 million.
Okay.
All right, Quinnen, do you want to do the extension for Quinnen already?
Yeah. Let's just get this out of the way because it's happening.
I think it would be really smart to go ahead and get that done as well.
Yeah.
Extension. 4 years. Let's say Quinnen was making.
And as you do this, let's call to mind. There's a psychological element to this too. Are the Cowboys a team that likes to take public L's? I mean, they will, but they don't love it. So if you are letting Kenny Clark leave after the Micah trade, if you are letting Quinnen Williams leave after using the picks of the Micah trade, it's not a great look. Mm-hmm. Which is they will pay Quinnen Williams. Like that's a formality. It's just a matter of when. Kenny Clark, they could look at that $0 dead cap hit and be like, there's our one-stop shop. I don't think they do that for optics reasons, and also he's good. Yep. Like this team's one edge defensively this season was when they had 3 very good defensive tackles, and you could. I don't think the next coach is going to do those 5-man fronts as often as Matt Eberflus did, but you can do a bunch of different looks with those 3 guys. And obviously, Osa just signed last offseason, so we're sitting here, we're playing some fantasy GM stuff, but I do think both these guys stick around into 2026 at a minimum.
Absolutely. And no matter who you bring in here, if it is Jim Leonhard if it is Zach Orr, like you owe them a similar roster to what they just exited, because like giving the same guy like the crappiest groceries is very, very silly.
Yeah, they're not coming here to do that.
Yeah. All right. So Quinnen, we're redoing Quinnen, 4 years, $85 million. That's
It's cost of doing business.
what it is. I'm giving him $20 million up front, sign extension. All right, look, we're in the positive over here.
How about that?
Look, we got money
you
over
don't
here.
have to touch Dak's deal yet.
Now let's do. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with Dak yet. That's probably a timing thing too. So let's go over here. Let's find our guy George Pickens. Let's do sign custom free agent contract. Number of years. Tell me what you want, Mike. You want 3 or 4?
I think in a world, I want 3. I think it's gonna be 4.
I think it's gonna be 4 as well.
I don't want to trust George Pickens for
I
the next
think
4
it's
years,
gonna
but
be
they're gonna
4.
have to trust George Pickens the next 4 years.
4 as well.
Yep.
Let's see.
And again, like when we say trust, it's all about stuff that isn't physical ability. He's 24.
Yeah.
You could pay this man until he's 28, 29 years old without question athletically.
If I'm going 4 years, we're gonna go a lower overall number.
If you get away with that.
If I do 3, I'll give you 35.
Yeah, you got to do high
AAV.
AAV. Yeah. I think that's absolutely right.
Does that sound fair?
I think that's fair.
Okay, so whatever 4 times 32 is.
That would be 128.
$128 million to George Pickens. Okay, let's do it. And signing bonus, let's say $20 million signing bonus. Sign player. All right, that didn't do that much damage. That's like one move away
Yeah.
right there. That's a Logan Wilson release.
Yes.
Watch this. There we go.
Bye-bye.
We're there.
Hey.
That wasn't that tough.
No.
You have almost no money left.
Correct.
Unless you're going to start dipping into Dak's void years, which let me show you this just because
Yeah.
we can, right? Conversion, right? Convert the minimum base to bonus and the bonus to 2 void years. New cap hit for Dak would be $43 million if you do this. Look at all the money I just made up here.
Woo.
You can do some really special things with $33 million. You could re-sign Javonte for that bloated contract that you want to throw at him.
Hey, slander on the program. We're going to talk Javonte next week.
Yeah.
This guy, Mr. Running Backs Never Matter at all.
I can find a dude right down the street that'll give me a over 55% success rate with the Cowboys offensive line. I can do it.
We're going to get to Javonte next week. I don't think it has to be. Here's the thing. I don't think it has to be that big of a Javonte contract. I don't think he's had that much leverage. Just a good running back free agent year. I don't think he's going to have a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Anyways, you can do a lot with this. And forget the Javonte
Yeah.
aspect. Again, you can't fix this defense with 2 top 20 picks. You better do some things. And so help me. If this team is learning, then sure, take your little calculated, I'm going to get Kyer Elam for nothing and see what happens. But you can't build the whole plan out of what they did last offseason, which is give me 6 former top 100 picks, and maybe I could turn them into something. Guess what? They didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
You would think they learned their lesson. There are some good players on the free agent market. I mean, if you're looking at edge, it's Jalen Phillips, right? There's some secondary help guys. I think whoever you bring in as the DC, just like David wrote, whatever the decision for the DC is will signal what's going on forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think how you spend this money will signal where you're going forward as well. And the Pickens thing is obvious, but
I'm starting with the fact that if let's say you create this extra money past the George Pickens contract, if you spend it,
if you spend
that's been the problem, right? Last year they had the money, and that's we don't know what we could do with it. You could spend it. You could spend the money. And lo and behold, it's not even like Jadeveon Clowney is a fraction of what he used to be, but just paying a real NFL player to play edge mid-year
helped a lot. Yeah,
helped a lot.
We haven't done anything with the Terrence Steele contract yet, right? And we have $33 million sitting here.
Yeah,
you drop those 2 first-round picks in there.
Yep.
Give me whatever corner, edge, corner, linebacker, edge, however you want to vary it up. Do not touch defensive tackle, or I will come to your house and fight you in your front yard barefooted. So you got those 2 picks, and then you could probably got enough to add 2 really significant contributors. And then whoever's stepping into this role, whether it's Zach Orr, whether it is Jim Leonhard,
Jonathan Gannon,
whoever it is, whoever is the new Eagles DB coach they're interviewing today, you got something. You're cooking with gas.
Because all it has to be, we cannot say this enough. We will keep saying it. If you pay George Pickens and you just do some little, say you pay Javonte an equivalent running back, all you have to do with the offense is a couple little tinkers, and you have a top They finished 8th in DVOA this year. To me, this is talent-wise, it's a top 5 offense because remember, the offensive line was shuffled around all season long, right?
Yep.
It's a top 5 NFL offense. If you can get me a top 15 NFL defense, that's a Super Bowl contender.
Yep, absolutely.
Pure and simple.
That was fun, man. Do you have fun messing with the contracts with me? I just did that the other day, and I was like,
we'll do more of this. We got
Can you do this? Can you even get Pickens into this team?
Well, this is just a learning lab for all of us. This is what we're doing. But we'll do more of this every week. And then once free agency is done, we'll shift more to draft stuff. So we got a lot of things coming on. We're a new show. We're going to keep trying new things. But this is a good time. Let's go get to our guy, David Castillo. We're going to talk some Stars hockey next. Joining us now, the original hockey writer at StrongSide. I've been doing this for almost 5 years. This man was the first Stars voice we brought in. One of the smartest people you're going to find, the smartest dude when it comes to big fancy numbers that he's going to make simpler for dum-dums like me. The great David Castillo. What's up, brother?
I appreciate it. This is kind of a fish out of water moment because I'm used to just being behind a computer screen. But that was a weird intro, man. You gassed me up way too much.
No.
So
that's my job. You know this from being on the internet with me. I gas my people up, and you're my people. So.
I will definitely not talk about expected goals today. I promise.
We'll see.
You can, man. I'll nod like I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Let's talk some hockey. We are a little games-wise, a little halfway through Glenn Gallutson's first year of the second tenure, or first time through the second time through, or however we're doing that. I think we all had expectations of what this would be. Now we've got an actual sample. So what have we learned from the Glenn Gallutson experience? Did it meet what you were thinking, or is this a little different here?
Different is a diplomatic word, I think, because it's impossible to kind of understate like what a technical weirdo I think this team is, which is, I think for the most part, you can kind of define teams in terms of what they do as like what they do with their speed. So like a rush attack, or what they do in terms of being a heavy squad with their cycle attack. I think there are a number of other different definitions for teams. The Stars, I don't think they really have. Like I have yet to see an identity and kind of what they are. And I think most people kind of already know this is a special teams team. They're great on the power play, and yes, I know it's like had issues lately, but great on the power play. They had a good PK. Which has since kind of slid down to 19th, which is ouch. But so it's hard for me to gauge really that's been my issue with analyzing the team. Because I'm always trying to look at kind of what they're doing, like systems-wise, tactics-wise. Why is the lack of even strength offense? What explains that? Which I think there is an explanation, but it's strange. I don't know what to make of it. It's a really weird group that obviously they're successful. They're, I think, third in points percentage, second in terms of record, but I can't make sense, right? Because I mean, like teams are not what their record is, right? I mean, Florida was like third in the Atlantic last season, ended up winning the cup, right? So I don't know what to make of this team other than to say it's kind of a mess, but it's like. Not necessarily
highly successful mess.
Exactly. A very successful hot mess. And that's the most I can give you in terms of just the broad strokes.
Okay.
Is this the furthest you've been into a season without quite understanding the full identity of a team?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. Even like teams that I think kind of took a while to sort of find their foot in, like the squad under like Montgomery, which kind of evolved into kind of a more modern offensive game. You could always kind of tell what it was trying to be. We all know what bonus hockey was. I feel like Pete DeBoer, I think his teams were also sort of kind of evolved into like a very elite kind of possession squad. Again, you can kind of see what they were doing. This squad, like, I don't know what they're trying to do. I mean, and again, like that sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like, oh, well, I don't know what the heck this team is, but they have such elite finishers and they have such star power that it kind of doesn't matter at times. And so I'm trying to think of them in terms of, say, like the Washington Capitals from like 2018, which was not a great possession team. And they had I think they had a great power play. I don't think they had a great PK. So that would be the first comparison that I kind of think of as a team that is kind of janky, but can still win games. And sometimes it doesn't matter. And, the whole like PDO, sustainability, possession, Corsi kind of goes out the window a little bit. I'm not there yet, but I do think they're pushing that. Of course, with this whole skid, I think we're seeing kind of what happens, though, when you rely on just special teams.
Each season, you learn different lessons about what this team is about, what this roster can be. Hopefully, you can build forward and correct those things if they are negatives, right? As a casual, somebody that checks in once or twice a week, right, and I just want to watch some hockey and have some fun. I saw January coming, and I worked in the NBA for a long time. And January is the absolute worst. It is the dog days. It is the not wanting to go out there and play on a random Tuesday night. It is, hey, can we get to the All-Star break? So the biggest reminder I get out of most of these seasons is, hey, you aren't as bad as your worst stretch, and you're never as good as your good stretch. There's a reason you're doing this. There's a scheduling reason. So what's the biggest lesson you've taken away from the Stars season thus far?
That it's okay to be bad at things. You can, right? Because, they've been bad at certain things, remain successful. What happens if they become good at the things that they're bad at? Like, that can change. I think with Dallas, I think one of the things that they are, even though they don't generate any offense at even strength, they're actually pretty decent defensively. I know people are going to, roll their eyes because they're like, well, have you seen the blue line? Like, Thomas Harley struggles. I read your article. Like, it's pretty bad, right? Yeah, it is, but team defense is a different thing than just simply, a team's blue line. And so they do, I think that's kind of what I'm looking at in terms of if there's something that they could bounce back, if there's something that they could sort of take January and just kind of scrap it, it's kind of that, which is, I think there was a stretch, I want to say in November, where it seemed like they were kind of locking things down, still weren't generating anything at even strength, but they were doing pretty good at just kind of limiting those high danger chances. And if you're going to be a great special teams team, that's fine. It's kind of one of the things I would kind of like to see, which is a little bit of kind of return to bonus hockey. If you're not going to generate anything, well, fine. You're always going to get power play opportunities. And so why not just lean into trying to be kind of a shutdown team? Of course, that's just like a armchair suggestion, but I don't really think that answers your question. I think it's
No, it helps. It helps.
Well, the Olympics, right, are also kind of the condensed schedule has also kind of probably partially explained some of their malaise, I guess, if you will, because they were awful last night. Or was it last night or the night before?
Last night was
My
Ducks.
brain scrambled. So
Night before was Kings.
that's right. Yeah. And I didn't think they looked good on either one of those.
No.
One of those games.
No.
But yeah, I think that'll be a good time. The condensed schedule and then the break, probably the Olympics, which for some players, maybe a jolt of energy, especially for someone like Harley. I think that's going to be maybe that'll tell us more about kind of where this team is headed. So perhaps a shot of adrenaline, perhaps not. It's hard. I genuinely don't know parts of this team, which is the strangest thing to me because I feel like I knew exactly what Bonus was doing. I knew exactly what DeBoer was doing offensively, which this team still kind of does. They still kind of cherry plan guys, kind of leave the zone early, and it could set up kind of nice, odd man rushes. But I don't. Again, I'm at a loss.
Well, let's look at it this way then, right? Because we don't know the specifics. Maybe we zoom out here. You understand the analytical profile of these teams better than anybody I know. You knew, at least from a holistic standpoint, yeah, we knew how DeBoer played, but we knew kind of the overall quality of these teams that got to 3 conference finals and couldn't get past that. We might not know how this team plays, but you can at least look at the data of what a half season is telling us. Just from a holistic analytical standpoint, do you think this team is overall better than what DeBoer was doing? Or do we still not even know that yet?
I would say we still don't even know that yet, in part because one of the discussions that just nobody seemed to have was that last season, for most of DeBoer's tenure, it was a really good defensive team, good offensive team, good possession stats, good shot share, expected goal share, which expected goals, by the way, just refers to shot quality, basically. And so those teams under DeBoer for the first 2 years, very, very good. They were elite, top 10 in both categories. That last season, they were awful. They were, I can't remember what it was, 27th or something like that in terms of expected goal share. And so, and a lot of that had to do with DeBoer not being able to kind of manage game states. If Dallas had the lead or if it was tied, Dallas bled shots. Now, I don't recall if that led to a lot of losses when they were leading, but I just know that in terms of the underlying numbers, shot quality they allowed was really bad. So whatever's happening now goes back to last season. And so I think that's kind of maybe part of – so, yeah, the answer is no, we don't even, I think, have the answer to that. But I think it's kind of clear that Gulletson is maybe also trying to kind of work with some of the issues that already existed under DeBoer and perhaps hasn't, like, found the answer just yet. And, of course, some things have not helped, like Harley's injury. And
all the injuries, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. All the injuries. And of course, you know, there's like an AHL lineup back there on the back end. That's not ideal. And they still have, you know, 2 like fourth liners in the top 6. So it's kind of, it's totally strange. It's one of the strangest elite rosters like I've ever, I don't want to say I've ever seen. That sounds like too like clickbait, like something you can just stick on. No. It's strange.
Is this more fun for you because you don't know and it's interesting to try and figure out, or is this just frustrating because like I can't figure this out and this is bothering me?
It's both. It's fun and frustrating. Not always fun because I feel like fans like really get frustrated. Like fans, I think, you know, even though this is kind of the 3rd best team, at least by points percentage, you know, the streak is just kind of has people wired to feel like, oh, well, it's not so much, you know, we're going to miss the playoffs or anything silly like that. Like if you look at the gap between the wild card and Dallas, it's just unreal, which I think speaks to, you know, kind of what the team has accomplished. But I think it's for a lot of fans, really, it's a question of can they beat Minnesota in round 1, which is basically a lock, right? I mean, Colorado has just, they left Earth a long time ago and and nobody's going to catch them. And so this Minnesota team with Quinn Hughes, I think they're like 9-4-2. They have like an obscene record. So I think fans are generally worried about like, well, what does Dallas look like in a 7-game series versus a Minnesota team that I think most would have said it just cannot compete with Dallas. And I think still like there's still truth to that. Minnesota is by no means a lock to beat Dallas in a 7-game series, but I think the lack of possession is genuinely concerning, and I think that is what fans are latching onto, which is. Sure, you can lose games, win games, nobody cares. You're going to make the playoffs. We get it. This is like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like 2021, 2022, 2023, and so forth.
Or, I mean, closer to home, this is the Cowboys, right? Nobody cares. You get to the playoffs, cool. You either get to the playoffs or don't, but once you get to the playoffs, like, nobody's going to care unless you win a round or 2. And with this team, unfortunately, they've raised the bar to a point where if you're not getting at least to the Cup final, everybody's going to be mad.
I don't get Cowboys references.
That's healthy. You are the one person around here working in sports media that doesn't, and you probably have a better mental health than both of us.
Easier mind. You can sleep at night.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about it.
I wouldn't go that MMA and hockey. Those are my 2. That's
your jam.
Those are
your jam.
Pretty brutal sports. So I'm not sure I'm that above.
Well, so let's zoom in a tad then, okay? Because you wrote a great piece for us over at the site at D Magazine. Go to dmagazine.com. Go to the sports tab. Read this man's story about Thomas Harley, who, in no uncertain terms, is the swing guy for this whole thing right now because he has not been very good. And it's been really weird. And we're not really trying to purport to understand why it's been so bad. The job is really just to show, like, look, this has been more problematic than you think. This isn't hot takey to say he has been bad. For the people who don't understand, why has this been worse than people think? And are we getting some optimism that as he's getting healthier, he's climbing out of this thing?
Well, I mean, I think people probably had a crash course against, you know, Anaheim, right? When you saw, with Heiskanen out, saw how the team looked. It was kind of a fire sale in the defensive zone, pretty much shift after shift. You know, Harley was, you know, really had this almost kind of like, and again, I don't think I think Harley was ever seriously in the Norris conversation, but statistically, at least, the profile was there. Here was a defenseman that really was coming into his own as, you know, one of the elite backs of the NHL. And so for him to just do a total reversal essentially kind of means that the team is really rolling with just, you know, one number 1 defender. And so without Harley, I think it's in the same way that we've seen what the team looks like without Heiskanen. What the team looks like with Heiskanen and without really any backup is, I think, also kind of what explains, some of the really like tepid performances. I think really from game to game, and so it's just kind of hard to understate. I mean, you look at any like competitive roster, any team going into the playoffs. What are they rocking? At least 2 quality borderline number 1 defenders, if not more. Colorado's got Taves, Makar. Manson on his offside this year has been phenomenal. Minnesota has Brodin and Spurgeon were the number 1. They were the top pair like 5 years ago. Now they're the bottom pair because they have Faber and Hughes. So Dallas needs to be able to compete with that, and they won't be able to if it's just Heiskanen and that's it. And by the way, that's no disrespect to like Lindell, who has really been steady, but he's not the kind of impact player in all 3 zones the way Heiskanen is, the way Harley can be at his best. And I think you need that kind of presence in the playoffs.
Does Harley need to play next to Miro, do you think?
I loved the Lindell Heiskanen pair. One of my biggest I think a lot of people's criticism of DeBoer that year, where they decided to play 5 defensemen for some bizarre reason, was that they had Chris Tanev in the lineup, was phenomenal, and it was Tanev with Lindell, which is fine, but these are not offensive defenders, and so I always loved the idea, at least, of splitting both up. Part of the issue, of course, is that Harley doesn't have a partner, and I think it's kind of what the sort of Harley discussion also emphasizes, which is that Dallas is a strange team in the margins. In the margins, there's not a whole lot to kind of really hang on to because you have players like Petrovic and, who's been fine, Capobianco. I think even Lundqvist. I think in an ideal world, Nils Lundqvist is on your bottom pair with Leon Bischel. And so I think Harley, with whoever they bring at the trade deadline, might kind of answer a lot of questions about who this team can be moving forward. I think Harley and Heiskanen as like a stopgap for maybe when you're in like trailing situations makes sense. But I do like splitting them up, at least in theory.
We got a pretty decent size bucket of concern over here that we've been building since since this like 0-3-3, and then the last couple of games that they haven't looked very sharp. I'm going to ask you about 3 guys. You tell me who you're most concerned with to least moving forward. Okay, Harley's on there. Rupe Hintz is on there.
No.
Matt Duchene is on there. Yes. So rank those for me. Who you're most concerned with moving forward.
So definitely Harley at the top. Then Matt Duchene and Hintz, right, was the other guy.
Yeah.
Hintz does not worry me. Duchene worries me, but unfortunately that's kind of for a different reason, right? I think, they're without speculating, the guy's coming off a concussion. I mean, what are the chances that he's 100%? And the other thing about Duchene is that, what line does he have? This is a guy that used to be insulated by Mason Marchment, Tyler Seguin. They weren't perfect, but they had a ton of jam, a lot of energy, and they could just score goals out of nowhere. Great chemistry, too. And so, what does Duchene have right
Your buddy Robert Tiffin is writing about this exact topic.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because that's the question, right? Like, what is going to be around him, and how does this gel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the natural next question is, does Duchene need to play with the top line and give him some more guys around him that can just get him going right before whatever this is that we're living through?
So we saw a little bit of that the other night with Duchene on his right wing, which I kind of, without being like the sort of I told you so, kind of.
You could do an I told you.
Yeah,
so.
that's
It's
fine.
okay. You
That's
run
fine. We
it
do
out
it. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is how Duchene revived his career. Like in Nashville, excuse me, he was put at right wing with Forsberg and just went ballistic. And for some reason, I understand that they like him at center, but if you're trying to get him going, he has a history at right wing where he's very, very good. And yeah, that was his best game easily, I would say, all season, even before the injury, which there weren't many games, so that's kind of selective. But anyways, looked great next to Robertson and Hintz. Am I getting that correct?
I don't know who he played with the other night.
For some reason,
I'm going to go with your version.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'll trust you.
Yeah. For some reason, Sam Steele and Johnston and Rantanen is still a thing, and I keep thinking it has to be broken up. It never is, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Sam Steele catches a lot of heat. I haven't watched a ton. I just every time I hear it, listen to like a weekly podcast, someone is like, "God bless Sam Steele." There's like love the
bless
things.
His heart.
Yeah, it's a very bless his little heart moment.
Very, very condescending, but listen, he's fine, man. He was supposed to be a bottom six. That's where he should be. He's not because of injuries.
Not his fault.
And yeah, sure, you could laugh at him for missing the empty net, but like he's a quality player. Like, I mean, and plus, like, really good on the penalty kill. Nobody would be saying anything about him if he was just playing on the fourth line like he was last season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you a betting man, David?
No.
No. Okay.
You're about to be.
We're gonna try and exercise anyway. Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna give you a $100 bill. I'm gonna give you a $50 bill. And I'm gonna give you a $20 bill.
Okay.
You got to bet 100 on the player you think is, well, you spend your money as you will. You get to make 3 bets on players you think the Stars will acquire. Obviously, 100 would be the most likely, you think. 50 would be the second, third would $20. So 3 guys that if you had to place 3 bets out in the poly markets or Kalshi or whatever, whatever hellscape.
Algorithmic hell, yeah.
Yeah, whatever hellscape we're living in.
Be the problem.
Yeah. Give me 3 names and most likely. You're trying to win these bets. It's not what David would do. It's what you think the Stars would do.
Right, yeah. Okay. Oh,
Go for it. Go
You're not
for
giving me
it.
names.
Go for
Okay,
it. No.
So
No, you throw them out there. I don't know enough names. I know Kadri, and that's the one I want because people have written about it.
Kadri would be like awesome. He's a weird fit though because he's a center, and
Yeah.
Dallas technically. Anyways, so I would say on the $20 side, Dougie Hamilton. I know he's been mentioned. Kind of. I think with just the money, kind of not being able to work. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I also think like Hamilton is just not the guy he once was. 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's a fantastic get, but now, no. And yeah, sure, some of that is like New Jersey is a train wreck right now. It's kind of hard to tell like who Hamilton really is. Would he look great next to Harley? Probably, but that's not going to happen. And so with $50, let's see, I'm trying to think of. So Kiefer Sherwood is definitely not one of them. Like I know it's been out there, but it's Dallas needs a real impact forward. He's not that, despite what his shooting percentage says, which has since gone down anyways. $50 I would go with Rasmus Anderson. Again, it's not a move. It feels too much like the Mikael Granlund, Cody Ceci thing, like Rasmus Anderson, where it's like where you're unproven by role. You have that top 4 defender, but does he have a top 4 impact at this point in his career? I would say offensively, yeah, sort of, but he still needs to defend, and he's not that guy anymore. Not that he was ever great two-way, but so $100. Who's the guy? Oh man, that's who's the guy?
Most likely,
Murphy. I would say Connor Murphy.
Connor Murphy.
I think because he's again, Dallas doesn't have a whole lot of assets, right? They have 1 first-rounder next year. They have some prospects that aren't high end. And I like Emil Hemming, Cameron Schmidt. I follow these players, but Connor Murphy kind of seems like exactly the kind of player that Dallas can add, who's not going to cost a whole lot, but can still add value in proportion to that cost. And it's a name that nobody's going to jump up.
This is not the Mikko Rantanen trade.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the thing, right? They've already done their splash last year, right? That was so I think Connor Murphy, I think that's a good bet for someone that's going to be cheap, someone that can kind of just slide in and that can either play on the second pair or the third pair. Ideally, they get another defenseman, and you have Connor Murphy on the third pair next to Liam Bichelle. It's a pretty deep blue line all of a sudden. But I honestly don't know, man. It's such a weird market because there are so few teams that are actually tanking, just because the East is so razor thin, and you have 4 bottom feeders in the West, and that's kind of your market. So yeah, I just want to add that little bit. That's
the most likely to happen. Now, if David's running the show, What are you doing at the trade deadline?
I'm doing nothing.
Nothing?
Okay.
Doing nothing. And the reason why is because after next season, Tyler Seguin's contract comes off the books. It's $9.8 million that is gone overnight. Maybe bring him back on something similar to a Ben deal. I feel like, the Ben Seguin era kind of over, maybe a little bit of a hot take. I don't want to, listen, I would love to see the guys win the cup, but, I would also like to see like new leadership. And so for me, like you wait till next season, you have money to work with, you have a few more assets to work with, and that's when you make your move. You make your move when you have the assets along with the money to really kind of, not even just look at the free market, but maybe like a hockey trade of some sort. Like I think of like someone like Colton Parayko, who's sure not what he once was, but that would be like the perfect defenseman next to someone like Thomas Harley, assuming Thomas Harley is, sort of back in form. So I think it's just like you made your move last year with Rantanen, and you kind of hitched your ride to Glenn Gulutzan, which was always going to be an experiment to begin with. And I don't think it's fair to expect Gulutzan to kind of expand on what DeBoer did. I mean, how do you even follow up 3 Western Conference? Yeah, a cup, but that's even if it was DeBoer under the, at the reins, like that's still unlikely, right? So that would be my move. This is who you are. This is the team you built. And yeah, sure, you have money to play with, but just because you have money to play with doesn't mean you have to spend it. So I just feel like if this is the team, maybe they'll win it anyways. But like I don't. I think you wait, and a lot of your core is very young anyways, so you can spare that extra year.
So the David Castillo move is bide your time. The public, which is a little impatient after these 3 conference titles, is saying, David, what are you doing? We need to do all the things. They might not be able to do all the things, but they want to do all the things. Let's say it's somewhere in the middle. Let's say it's Connor Murphy, like a nice, low-risk, helpful piece that ain't going to blow the doors off of anything. Would you consider, if that's your team, this team plus a guy like that, would you consider this team a serious cup contender? And who besides Colorado joins them on that short list, if so?
No, I wouldn't consider them it's weird because I think a lot of the issues have sort of I think they've kind of put a lot of what Dallas can use and what Dallas needs to add. I think a lot of those discussions have been kind of put on the side because of, well, like the injuries, the strange, Thomas Harley thing, and kind of what the systems is trying to do. So, and just the fact that, you have a Central Division that's insane. Like, hey, so you're not one of the other great white sharks. No big deal. Like, you're still in it. So I'm not answering the question, but so what was the question again? Sorry.
The question is like essentially if they make, well, you did answer it in that it was really kind of a contingent 2-part question. The first question was, do you think they're a serious cup contender with one more mid-tier addition? The answer is no. So that doesn't matter who else is a cup contender because they ain't in it.
Yeah. And again, it's not, I can still see a team like Dallas doing well in the playoffs because there's no substitute for a Mikko Rantanen like scoring a hat trick like he did against Colorado.
Yeah.
Even Johnston, I think someone like Robertson and kind of the motivation of being like snubbed by Team USA, still one of the
we're going to get there in a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think there are a lot of things that can sort of really propel Dallas into kind of finding that sort of next gear, that next level, in addition to Thomas Harley kind of finding his game. But I just think Dallas has matched up with Colorado in the past, but this Colorado team is just different. And so, I don't see it. I would like to. I think the pieces are there, but just not enough.
Yeah. Okay. So you alluded to Jason Robertson. You alluded to the snub for the Olympic team. We've said our piece about it. Robert Tiffin wrote about it on the site really a month before it happened and was laying the groundwork for like, I think this is going to happen and it's going to be dumb. What's the David Castillo opinion on this? Where are you at with this whole Jason Robertson not being on Team USA?
I mean, we're not allowed to curse on here, right?
Oh, yeah, you can. Choose your weapon.
I mean, like I'm trying to be. I want to be, just for the sake of professionalism outside this room. Yeah, it was absolutely like it's just there's no good argument for why. I mean, think about it this way: like Bill Guerin's talked about like roles, right? Like, well, we need role players and we need someone to fill roles and we need someone that can check. What is one of the primary roles for any forward?
Score goals.
Or
Yeah,
what the game's about.
So like if you if you had your best American-born goal scorer since the 2022-23 season, then that's a primary role. That's a role that you fill and you start from there and then work your way down. So to me, this is very much a kind of Bill Guerin and a lot of the other guys, right? It's not just a Guerin thing because according to that athletic report, nobody was in Roberts' corner, right? Not David Quinn, not John Tortorella. Not that we expect anything different. But
you didn't have a guy in the room banging the table. For
yeah,
him.
And yeah, I think that just is kind of dudes trying to sort of recycle the past, can't imagine better futures. That I think is what that is. It's just as simple as that. It's just this sort of hockeyman logic of trust us, even though Team USA hasn't won in many decades. So I mean. Yeah, just one of the absolute dumbest things. Also the Adam Fox thing was also really bad. Nobody wants to hear about Adam Fox. Sorry about that. Anyways, not while we're talking about the Dallas Stars, but anyways, yeah, like I too many curse words like swimming around my brain to really, think straight because it really is just aggressively dumb, and the only thing you can do is just psychoanalyze it. Because you can't argue like hockey reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Even the whole check-in thing. There are analytics for a player's net front presence, how well they play through contact. Robertson rates in the 91, 95 percentile in these categories, right? So even that stuff is just doesn't fly. And the only thing I could think of is like, well, he's kind of slow. So is Mark Stone, one of the best defensive forwards in the game. Like what
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little bit of I'll say it for you, head up your own ass type decision making. I was shocked. I was like, I don't know. We talked about it a lot last week. Ready to do some buzzer beaters?
Okay.
All right.
I'm not ready, but I'll do it.
All right, we'll do it anyway.
Team player.
Stars player who most needs a big second half.
It's Harley. It's pretty straightforward.
Good number 2.
All right.
Who's this? Duchesne?
Yeah.
All right. Tougher one. As you said, and as I know you well, you're a big MMA guy. You are the best person to ask this question to. Who is the best Stars fighter of all time?
So is this past and present?
All time. Yeah. Like we're in the great hockey sphere where everybody's out there. You got to send somebody out to fight. So everyone wants to
Pick your champion.
Yeah.
I would probably say I think Richard Matvichuk.
Oh yeah.
Kind of has the build. He's not like. It wasn't like big upper body or anything like that, but like seemed like a guy that could probably has like that Muay Thai jiu-jitsu kind of combination.
This is
I think
the guy to ask this question to.
Has a samurai sword probably.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course had the mentality, right? Very physical player. So somebody that I think would also have kind of the mind for the UFC. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like somebody on the Stars now. And it's definitely not. It's never who you think it is, but definitely Matvichuk is the first one that kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not all about size.
No.
Which is how you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Size of the fight and the dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the like big upper body. I'd be like, whatever. That guy's gonna get
Can
whooped.
we hear that again?
Yeah, we'll use that as a drop sometime.
All right. Fill in the blank. Miro Heiskanen wins the Norris Trophy in the year
2026.
This year.
Ooh.
All right. Let's
He-
go.
So he's like, obviously, he's not going to catch Makar or Werenski, who are well above. I think they're already like over 50 points or something like that. But it's yes, usually the defender with the most points wins the Norris. Not usually, but often the player with the most points wins the Norris. But not always, and he's just close enough to kind of justify having that offense. And also, I think with the power play, which is still good. I think it's still ranked second in the NHL. And yes, it's been on like a slide. But if he can start kind of piggybacking, getting points once it kind of finds his groove again, I think he can be close enough. Like if he's like top 5 or top 6 defenseman scoring, that'll be enough because everybody knows like he's great defensively. And so I think, voters get sick of voting for the same guy. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a human element too, I think, where, the writer's probably like, yeah, sure, like Makar, whatever.
Yeah, I think people want a reason to vote for Miro because I think people know just the whole job description of being a defenseman. He's incredible at it, and he's a playmaker. He can do all the things. They just need enough of a resume to give him a push in terms of the pure counting stats. But okay, now we can do it. That and maybe some voter fatigue if we don't want to do this with the car again, even though he's great.
If every game he misses, they play like they did last night, then that should be an obvious one, right? Like he's got to be the defensive MVP.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of been just him for the whole year, anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's also the kind of that element.
Yeah. The storylines are aligning.
Yeah. Okay, I like this. This is something to get excited about here. Stat that will tell the story of the rest of the Star season.
It's still the even strength offense, right? So in this case, shot attempts per 60. It sort of sounds like kind of minutia, but I think what you're really talking about when you're looking at stats like that is maybe it's not necessarily possession, but I think it does speak to a team's ability to kind of retrieve pucks consistently, and that's something this team can't do. And I would say if they're still not good at it, because even strength is 80% of the game, if they're still not good at it, then that's going to be a huge issue. That's going to be a problem, not just like now, but in the future, and really for as long as Gulletson is here. Because I mean, the team has to figure it out, and I feel like the roster, I think, is on paper should be good enough to be able to do a little bit more. And so I think that's the number that you want to see. If that starts going up, I think you're going to see this team kind of find that next level.
Mm-hmm.
The Mooterus, yes or no?
Yes. I'm not a jersey guy. So if there's a jersey that's like ironic, silly, then yeah, like I'm going to be for that. Sure, it's not the most serious thing in the world, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last one for you, and I feel like we already probably spoiled the answer to this because I like to give a good walk-off question to people. But still, true or false, the Dallas Stars will end the season as your 2026 Stanley Cup champions.
And if no, when do they?
Yeah, that's that. There you go. That's the modification here.
Okay, so false. Did I answer that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, false. Yeah, true.
False. 2027.
Okay, so they're not far.
I mean, they're right. I mean, the window, right? Because their core is just the right age.
Yeah.
They just need those one or two pieces.
Yeah. He's
Awesome,
David
man.
Castillo. You could find him on D Magazine. You could find him on Twitter and Blue Sky, David Castillo AC. Tell the good people about your Substacks. You got not one, but you got two of them.
Yes. So there is Star Stack, which covers the Dallas Stars, and then Sticks and Salvos, where I complained about the Robertson snub, as well as Adam Fox, is the other Substack that I run.
You heard him. Follow him, subscribe. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
That was delightful. Loved hanging with my guy, David. Loved talking some Stars hockey. Let's get out of here in a little bit of a game. We're going to play a game today. My guy, Mike the Machine Marshall, says he can name for every NFL team, he can name where every starting quarterback and every running back on a two deep went to college.
Yeah.
Now, I made a little exercise. I wanted to I'll call you out on this. I made a sheet. I was able to get most of these, which means I think you can get all of them.
Yeah.
I have faith in you. The people have faith in you. So we're going to play this game. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Viewers at home, you're going to see this screen here. Beautiful spreadsheet like so.
I can't see that screen.
Mike cannot see the screen. So I'm going to name this team. We're going to go alphabetical order. He's going to name the names. If he's stuck on what a name is, I could throw him a name of a backup running back because he's going to name the college. We're going to go with where they've graduated last. Not where they played the whole career because, college football is weird like that now. Some of these guys have played in multiple teams. Whatever, just wherever they finished last.
Backup running back is also debatable. So it's like I know two of the running backs at least.
Two running backs. RB1, and then if he has a different running back that's not on this list, that means it's an even deeper name, and that's just bonus points.
Yep.
So,
all right.
There are 96 names you're going to have to
Lock
name in the next 5 minutes.
All right.
I believe in you.
Timing thing is the only thing I'm worried about. This is the game we used to play with my friends, where we'd sit in like the living room during a football game and just throw a name out there, and then you got to say where the school is.
Okay.
So I've practiced this, I guess.
You have. Not with the clock. I threw that wrinkle in last
clock.
minute.
No.
Not with the clock. Got to make it a little hard.
I'm very confident.
All right.
Alphabetical is a little bit
Well,
different
I will name the team.
Yeah,
You don't have to think in order. I will say,
All right.
for instance, the first team will be Arizona Cardinals. I will tell you the next team, and you could go from there.
All right, let's go. Arizona
Ready?
Cardinals.
Hang on. Tell me when are you ready for me to start the clock?
Sure.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Kyler Murray, Oklahoma. Amari DeMarcado is TCU. James Conner is Pitt.
Nailed it. Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons. Well, Michael Penix is a lot of different places, but Washington was the last place. If you want Kirk Cousins, I'm just going to.
No, Michael Penix.
Bijan Robinson is Texas. Tyler Algier is BYU.
Boom. Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens is Lamar Jackson. Louisville. Derrick Henry is Alabama, depending on who you want to say. Keaton Mitchell's ECU. The other dude is USC. I can't remember his name.
I was going to say I had Justice Hill for Oklahoma
Justice
State,
Hill,
but
Justice.
you got Keaton Mitchell. Buffalo Bills.
The Bills, Josh Allen is Wyoming. James Cook is Georgia. Ray Davis is Kentucky.
Boom. Carolina Panthers.
Carolina Panthers is Bryce Young, Alabama. Chuba Hubbard is Oklahoma State. Who's the other running back?
Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle is South Carolina. That's a tricky one that people forget a lot of the time.
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears. DeAndre Swift is Georgia. Caleb Williams is USC. Kyle Monungai is Rutgers.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals is Joe Burrow. Was Ohio State. Transferred to LSU. Won a national championship. Chase Brown is Illinois. Samaje Perine is Oklahoma. If you want to go down the list to Taj Brooks is Texas Tech.
Love it. Just showing off now. Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns. We will start at quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is Colorado. Dylan Gabriel, if you want to go that way, is Oregon. Joe Flacco's Delaware. If you want to go running back, Quinshon Judkins was Ole Miss, transferred to Ohio State. Dylan Sampson is Tennessee.
Yes. Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is obviously Mississippi State. Javonte Williams is obviously a Tar Heel. Phil Moffitt is Clemson.
There you go.
Malik Davis is Florida.
There you go. Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. RJ Harvey, get that one out of the way, is UCF. Bo Nix is Oregon by way of Auburn. Jaleel McLaughlin is Youngstown State. J.K. Dobbins is Ohio State.
I was going to let you have Dobbins, but you wanted to get it tricky. That's fine. Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is Alabama. Jared Goff is Cal. David Montgomery is Iowa State.
Yep. Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, obviously a great Alabama running back. Utah State is Jordan Love. And the backup is Emmanuel Wilson, at least right now, and that is, was it Fort Valley?
I believe that is correct. Yeah, Fort Valley State. I initially forgot to add the Green Bay Packers on this list, but they're here now. Houston Texans.
Houston Texans. Nick Chubb's obviously Georgia. Woody Marks is obviously USC. C.J. Stroud is Ohio State.
Indianapolis Colts.
Colts is not Jonathan Stewart. That'd be funny. Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin. Amir Abdullah is Nebraska. Depending on who the quarterback is at the moment, Riley Leonard is Notre Dame. Daniel Jones is Duke.
There you go. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is Clemson. Etienne is also Clemson. Bashal Tutin is Virginia Tech.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is Texas Tech. Zay Pacheco is Rutgers. Kareem Hunt is Toledo.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is Oregon. Not sure if he went anywhere before that or not.
He did not.
Omarion Hampton is UNC. They've got a little bit of a running back.
there.
Yeah, not bad. Kamani Vidal is one people forget a lot. Troy.
That was one of the ones that messed me up.
Yeah.
LA Rams.
L.A. Rams. Kyron is a Golden Domer, Notre Dame. Blake Corum is a Michigan Wolverine. And Matt Stafford is obviously UGA.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders. Geno Smith is a West Virginia Mountaineer. Ashton Genty is a Boise State Bronco. Who's the Raheem Mostert is Purdue.
Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, I'm going to go reverse. Ollie Gordon is Oklahoma State. Jalen Wright, Tennessee. A-Chain is Texas A&M. Tua is Alabama.
There you go. Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy is a Michigan Wolverine. Aaron Jones is a UTEP Miner. And it is Georgia Tech for Jordan Mason.
Yeah. New England Patriots.
Patriots. Ramondre is an Oklahoma Sooner. I don't know if he went somewhere before that or not. Trevion Henderson is Ohio State. Drake May is a UNC Tar Heel.
The Saints of New Orleans.
Kamara is a Tennessee Volunteer. the TCU backup, I'm forgetting his name, Kendre Miller. And then Tyler Shook is 5 different colleges, I think, but Louisville, Oregon, Tech as well on his resume.
Beautiful. New York Giants.
New York Giants is Jackson Dart. Devin Singletary is FAU if he's the backup. Tyro Tracy is a Purdue guy. Cam Scatterbo is Arizona State.
We are not going to make the time limit that's going right now,
okay.
but that's fine.
Cooking,
You are
cooking.
perfect.
Cooking.
You are perfect. The New York Jets.
New York Jets. Braylon Allen is Wisconsin. Breece Hall is Iowa State. Justin Fields, who started the season, is Ohio State. Brady Cook is the quarterback at the moment, so he's Missouri.
Yeah, that's a deep cut right there. That's true sicko stuff.
Yep.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles. Jalen Hurts is he Bama and Oklahoma? Weirdo.
Got
Saquon
beat up by
Barkley,
Tua.
Penn State. Will Shipley is Clemson, and the other running back is
Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby is Auburn. Of course.
Yeah, there we go. You're just cruising right now. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers. Kenny Gainwell would be Memphis. Jalen Warren would be Oklahoma State. If you want Caleb Johnson in there, he is an Iowa Hawkeye.
Nobody wants Caleb Johnson.
Aaron
at
Rodgers
this
is
point.
Cal.
Seattle Seahawks.
Seahawks. Sam Darnold is USC. Kenneth Walker is Michigan State. Zach Charbonnet is UCLA.
The San Francisco 49ers.
49ers. Brock Purdy is Iowa State. Christian McCaffrey is a Stanford Cardinal. Brian Robinson would be Alabama. And they have another back that they're using that I am forgetting at the moment.
Doesn't matter. You got all you needed. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buccaneers. Rashad White is an Arizona State Sun Devil. Bucky Irving is Oregon. Sean Tucker is Syracuse. And Baker Mayfield is Texas Tech. And then Oklahoma.
Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward is Miami by way of Incarnate Word, I believe.
And Washington State.
And Washington State Cougar. Tony Pollard is Memphis. Tajay Spears is Tulane.
Last but not least, to make this perfect 96 of 96, the Washington Commanders. Featuring one of the trickier ones buried in here.
Oh, you think so? Chris Rodriguez is Kentucky.
That's not the tricky one.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is Arizona.
Because he played one game after
One
he
game.
transferred.
That's what it says on his thing.
One game.
And I think they also got in trouble because someone was wearing his number.
That's why he was ineligible.
That's why he was ineligible,
It was so
right?
weird, yeah.
And then Jaden Daniels is obviously a Heisman-winning quarterback from the Louisiana State Tigers.
96 of 96.
Suck it, Grok!
Information that will do you no good at any point in your life.
Nailed it.
But what are we here for?
Got
To
'em.
have some fun and
Got 'em.
stability and have a good time with you. That's the best moment of this.
Get on my level.
You saw the best moment of this man's week here. What are we doing the show if not for that? Thanks for
You can't do this. You wouldn't even try.
You would have gotten tripped up by that one game at Arizona for Jacoby.
Yeah, that would have messed you up.
That would have.
That'd
That
mess
would
you
have.
up
But not
pretty
this
bad.
man. Not this man.
Maybe next week we'll do wide receivers. That one gets trickier because number one, wide receivers
We're not gonna do
fluctuate
that
so
segment
much.
next week. But
Yeah.
we are going to see you next week. We are going to have fun next week. And we love you and we appreciate you tuning in with us. I'm Mike Bellucci. He's Mike Marshall. We'll see you next time.
Got him.